So this is a new one. This is for educational purposes only. I just want to know. I think people should know. This is the history that we're given. If you don't like the things that are being said, I don't know what to tell you. This is the narrative that we're supposed to know. This isn't some goofy Alex Jones conspiracy theory stuff, right? This isn't stuff that we get to hide from by calling crazy and saying, "Oh, you're just making this up. This is anti this or blah blah blah." This is the Haavara Agreement, according to Wikipedia, on a locked page, so nobody can mess with it. Just educational purposes only. Okay, so the Haavara Agreement was an agreement between Nazi Germany and Zionist organizations signed on August 25th, 1933. Right off the bat, like the very first sentence we're given sort of makes you go, wow, I didn't know that that was a thing. This wasn't something I was taught. Why aren't we taught these things? You know, this should be a part of the narrative. Like, I know when I was growing up, we had at least a month every year in history class dedicated to uh, World War II, the the burnt offering, the the whole narrative that we're given. We would have this every year. You know, once Schindler's List came out, we would get extra credit if we came in, after school, before school, and watched it multiple days in a row. Like, it was always, this has always been a part of the narrative for people my age. I know that it's not that way now. I know they learn next to nothing anymore, and it's really kind of crazy. Yeah. Oh, you're mad. Look, somebody's mad because I'm reading something. I don't like reading. Here. People don't like reading. But my math's just called math. Hi, Dave. Okay, so the Haavara Agreement was an agreement signed between the Nazi Germany, and Zionist organizations. What does that even mean? What does Zionist organizations in August of 1933 even mean? Like, signed with them, are they? Yeah, but I mean, is this international? Are these within Germany? Are these, what are Zionist organizations? What does that even mean? It's strange because I can look up, like, Nazi Germany is blue, but Zionist organizations isn't. Zionist is, but the organizations isn't. What? No, these are the good guys. No, this is something that you would be surprised because you're of my age, so you were given the month-long World War II narrative every year. Did you ever hear about the Haavara Agreement? A Zionist organ? The agreement was finalized after 3 months of talks by the Zionist Federation of Germany, the Anglo-Palestine Bank, under the directive of the Jewish Agency, which is another group, and the economic authorities of Nazi Germany. Wow, this is really weird. This isn't something that you know, I've watched lots of movies. Huh? Yeah, this seems like a pretty substantial thing here. It was a major factor in making possible the migration of approximately 60,000 German friars to Palestine between 1933 and 1939. So this is the whole, they didn't have anywhere to go, so they got on the ships and the Palestinians welcomed them into the homes. And then one day they went to work, and when they came home, the locks were changed. So this is all how it comes together. Move, dumb dog. It was a major. The agreement enabled friars fleeing persecution under the new Nazi regime to transfer some portion of their assets to British Mandatory Palestine. Why would they have signed that? Why, if if the Hitlers were so bad and they just want, like, this doesn't fit. This really doesn't fit. Immigrants sold their assets in Germany to pay for essential goods manufactured in Germany to be shipped to Mandatory Palestine. The place that didn't exist, right? According to Charlie. No, there is no Palestine. There is no Palestine. The agreement was controversial and was criticized by revisionist Zionist leader Zev Jabotinsky and by some non-Zionist friars, as well as many members, as well as members of both the Nazi Party and the German public. Seems like this wasn't a very. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody other than them would support this. The Palestinians were just tricked. They weren't even like rewarded. It wasn't like, hey, do this and you get something. It was this, hey, we have nowhere to go, please help us. And they were like, all right, we'll help you. What's the worst that could happen? For German friars, the agreement offered a way to leave an increasingly hostile environment in Germany. For the Yishuv, the friar community in Palestine, it offered access to both immigrant labor and economic support. For the Germans, it facilitated the immigration of German friars while breaking the anti-Nazi boycotts of 1933, which had mass support among European and American friars, as was thought by German state to be a potential threat to the German economy. That's really crazy. That's really weird. I mean, it's just weird to have never heard of this before. To have had endless hours of history class regarding this very specific issue. And you never hear anything about it. Mm-hmm. Although the Nazi Party won the greatest share of the popular vote of the two Reichstag general elections of 32, they did not have a majority. So Hitler led a short-lived coalition government formed by Nazis and the German National People's Party. Under pressure from politicians, industrialists, and others, President Paul von Hindenburg, well, that's interesting, appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany on January 30th, 1933. So, this agreement was signed, what, 8 months later? By this dude who is supposedly the super bad guy. Interesting. Um, the event was known as the Machtergreifung, seizure of power. In the following months, the Nazis used a process termed Gleichstellung, roughly bringing into line to consolidate power. By June 33, virtually the only organizations not under control of the Nazi Party were the army and the churches. Within the Nazi movement, a variety of increasingly radical solutions to the friar question were posed both before and while the Nazi Party was in government, including expulsion and the encouragement of voluntary immigration. It seems like it's very similar to what we're seeing today, but just worse on what we're seeing today's end. Like, at least they're seemingly being given a chance and an opportunity and help. Whereas today, what what they are doing to the Palestinians is just, it's heartless. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Where's the order not under control of the Nazi Party? Widespread civil persecution of German friars began as soon as the Nazis were in power. For example, on April Fool's Day, April 1st, the Nazis organized a nationwide boycott of friar-owned businesses in Germany under the law for the restoration of the professional civil service, which was implemented on April 7th. Friars were excluded from the civil service on April 25th. Quotas were imposed on a number of friars in schools and universities. Friars outside Germany responded to these persecutions with a boycott of German goods, which appeared to some Nazis to threaten the Reich. Why? They're a very small portion of the population, so what would it matter? The crazy part is they have you like wanting the worst, needing the worst, supporting the worst. When it comes to Handy Sook, the good narrative is to believe that it's true. Like, I would much rather it be that nobody was, no kids were harmed in that, and it was just a psyop, fake operation. That would be a much better narrative than the reality we're told. And even with this narrative, it's like, if it's not true, it's a good thing. It sucks that there's lies and stuff that have come from it. But to think that a whole bunch of people weren't killed, that's the best way to think. You know, the best thing that can happen is that people aren't killed, people aren't hurt, that people are shown a better way, and they go, hey, you know what? Let's work here together. We're here together. Let's make life better for everyone. That would be the ideal perspective. That's the ideal situation. The only people that should be being hurt are the people that want to hurt others. You know, you're pedos. Obviously, let's just get rid of them. That's a much better solution than anything else. Pretending they can be cured or some bullshit is just it's idiotic. It's ridiculous. You don't cure that shit. Meanwhile, in Mandatory Palestine, a growing friar population, 174,610 exactly in 1931, rising to 384,078 in 1936, and 600,000 even in 1948. They were exactly 600,000. Was acquiring land, stealing it, and developing the structures of a future friar state, despite conflicting sentiments with the population of Mandatory Palestine. So you're hearing that they're saying this, that like from 31 on, and before that obviously as well, they were stealing land. They were stealing land and they were taking it, and they were harming people. Like it's right there. What is this? Hanoti, the planter, was a citrus planting company based in Netanya and established in 1929 by long established friar settlers in Palestine involved in the B'nai Benjamin movement. So that was where they killed a bunch of Arabs, right? Benjamin. But long established settlers. Like it's just crazy that that's just this accepted thing. That they came in, they forced people to leave, and because the people don't have the might behind them to be able to fight back, they're not willingly doing any of it. But this is how it's like presented. Like it's okay. It's okay. Right, look at you have some dumbass on here saying something as stupid as Palestine isn't real. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, then all this history isn't real, right? Then everything that you guys want isn't real, because that's what it's always been about, is stealing Palestine. But it's just, do you ever think that any of these friars are going to come in here with some sort of intelligent discourse? No. It's just stupidity. And they can't actually engage because they know it'll just make the point. Everything they say, something as stupid as, it's not real, duh. Okay, well then what's all this about? Like, everything you say just works against you. It just shows how stupid you are. Because instead of engaging in the discourse intelligently and being like, oh, okay, well, here, let's do this, let's do that, what about that? You just say dumb shit because you have nothing. That's why you guys freak out so much when somebody doesn't just accept your superiority, because that's the basis of your entire argument. When somebody doesn't go, wait, oh yeah, you can do what you want. You're special. You're chosen. Why? I'm just some dumb goyim here. Let me just move out of your way. Don't call me anything. Don't you dare say I oppose supremacy. Don't you say I'm anti-supremacy, because if you say I'm anti-supremacy, I have to back down. Mhm. It's fucking silly, man. Uh, in an arrangement with the Reich Economics Ministry, the blocked German bank accounts of prospective immigrants would be unblocked, and funds from them used by Hanoti to buy agricultural German goods. These goods, along with the immigrants, would then go to Palestine, and the immigrants would be granted a house or citrus plantation by the company of the same value. Why? That's just crazy. We're just gonna move you from one place. Like, it sounds like this has been happening since then, where they were just going in there and being like, all right, well, you don't live here anymore. We're told that this is sort of a newer thing, but it's clearly not. This is strange, man. Hanoti's director, Sam Cohen, well, there's your thing, represented the company in direct negotiation with the Reich Economics Ministry beginning in March of 33. In May of 33, Hanoti applied for permission to transfer capital from Germany to Palestine. This pilot arrangement appeared to be operating successfully and so paved the way for the later Haavara Agreement. Wow. Did you guys know about this? Cause I cook and I chill. The Haavara transfer agreement, negotiated by Eliezer Hufein, director of the Anglo-Palestine Bank, was agreed to by the Reich Economics Ministry in 1933 and continued with declining German government support until it was wound up in 39. The agreement provided a substantial export market for German factories to British rule Palestine. Wow, this is really crazy because it's almost like you know, they were doing this before there was the excuse for doing it. The reason why this is all because of the results of the war is why the Palestinians had to give up their shit to begin with. And we're told about the Palestinian partition that was put out in like 45 that offered them a little bit less than half of their land, which they refused, which is considered, them not wanting to work with people by saying they didn't want to give up 56% of their land for these people who were supposedly being, rewarded for what happened in Germany. But this is clearly happening long beforehand. How did they happen to know that this is how this was going to work out? It's almost like they had this planned. That's because you think something isn't true doesn't make it so. That's because you think it's a revolutionary thing it doesn't mean blah, 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 blah. Anything but actually point out something that's wrong, right? Anything but doing what I'm doing, but to do it to me. Pick apart the things that I'm saying. The stupidity it takes to not think something's going on here is really interesting. And you have to wonder, Riley Gold, who's behind the Riley Gold profile? 11 years ago, no subscribers. Good old Riley Gold. It's not like I'm making anything up, right? This is just what it says. I mean, this is the narrative we're supposed to know. All I'm doing is reading you what they want you guys to know. The agreement provided a substantial export market for German factories to British rule Palestine between November 1933 and December 31st, 1937. 77,800,000 Reichsmarks, or $22,500,000 values in the currency of 1938. So that would be like, you know, $100+ million today, maybe more. Worth of goods were exported to friar businesses in Palestine under the program. By the time the program ended with the start of World War II, the total had risen to 105 million marks, or about $35 million in 1939. I mean, do you understand like how insane that is? That's just goofy, man. Where have you been? I haven't been able to find you. Well, what do you think it is? Now, I was on punishment for a week, but if you can't find me, I've been on for a couple days now, and you can't find me. That's nothing I'm doing. Should ask yourself why you can't find somebody you want to find. Immigrants with capital of 1,000. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know what that symbol is. I don't know if that's pounds or Reichsmarks. I don't know. About 5,000 1930, $5,000 in 1930s currency value. Wow. So $1,000 in their money was $5,000 in our money. That's how much better the German economy was back then. Their dollar was 5 times stronger than our dollar. That's pretty fucking crazy, right? Could move to Palestine in spite of severe British restrictions on friar immigration under an immigrant investor program similar to the modern United States EB-5 visa. Under the transfer agreement, about 39% of the immigrants' funds were given to friar communal economic development projects, leaving individuals with about 43% of the funds. I mean, that's just crazy. You know, it's wild to think this is what's happening. The Haavara Agreement was thought by some German circles to be a possible way to solve the quote friar problem. The head of the Middle East division of the Foreign Ministry, the anti-Nazi politician Werner Otto von Hintig, supported the policy of selling friars in Palestine. That's just nuts. I just can't imagine. Why? Like, when you look at the narrative from the late 1800s up until this, is the whole thing that, you know, when you talk about the Uganda proposal where they were gonna make it in Uganda, but instead, you know, that was too much work would have been required, so they decided against it. But is it like they made themselves so hated that people were like, yeah, just give them their own little place. Go ahead and take those people's land to give to them. It just doesn't make sense. It's a really weird thing that interestingly that the Tartarian narrative seems to sort of fit in there as obviously something more is going on here. Why is this such a big deal? Is this just really all about distraction and entertainment and is that really what it's all about? I don't really get it. Because this is just this totally goes against what I was taught in school. And it totally spits in the face of the narrative we're given. And it's the Wikipedia narrative. It's not something that you have to have some sort of special ability to find information and all that shit. Anybody can look this up at any time. It's right there on Wikipedia, the Haavara Agreement. Exist. And why have I not been told about this? The head of the Middle Eastern division of the Foreign Ministry, Heintig believed that if the friar population was concentrated in a single foreign entity, then foreign diplomatic policy and containment of the friars would become easier. Hitler's own support of the Haavara was unclear and varied throughout the 1930s. Right, because that character is just, it's such a goofy character when you break it down. Initially, he seemed indifferent to the economic details of the plan, but he supported it in the period from September 37 to 39. After the German invasion of Poland in September 1939, the was ended. That is such a strange. It's such a strange thing. Like, I had no idea. It's so much different than you think it is. You've been trained to think that anybody that goes against the narrative, that doesn't say things the way we're supposed to say them, there's some sort of conspiracy theorist, there's some sort of bad guy, and they're crazy. That's crazy. And instead of once you label it crazy, you shut down to whatever's being said. And it really is wild when you just think about it from the perspective of, like, I shouldn't be able to make a decent argument. I shouldn't make any sense whatsoever. The narrative we're given is official. It's what we're supposed to think. And someone like me didn't just be able to come up with something crazy like this and make sense that against the narrative we're given. Come on, dogs. Nobody wants to nobody wants to be wrong because it, like, somehow it's a knock against you. Like, you're supposed to know everything. It's so weird. People argue shit that they've never bothered to look up. They know nothing about it, but because they're not comfortable with saying, hey, I might not know this, I might be wrong about something, they end up arguing foolishly. And it's the same bullshit every time. What's up, person? Power? It's fucking silly, man. That that seems like another. Gotta add that receipt to the long list of receipts that will be in the description of the video. Like, if you don't know about the Haavara Agreement, I'm not surprised at all. You're not supposed to, obviously. Take it from somebody who liked history. Like, I loved watching documentaries and learned, like, I Ken Burns shit. I love watching Ken Burns stuff. Until it was ruined by thinking. And it's weird. Like, I don't want to be that outsider, right? I'm sorry. I know I can't be the only person that I don't know. We don't know how they built those things isn't an acceptable answer. Or slaves built it. It was built by slaves. Like, the narrative we're given is insulting. And it really is, you start looking at guys like My Lunch Break and you see the work they're doing and the narrative they're able to bring to the table and create discourse over, create legitimate questions around. Like, you should how can you be so arrogant to say, I can't debunk anything this guy's saying. I can't explain what he's saying in a way to, make it look, I can't do anything like that. But he's wrong. Like, how can anybody do that? It's not like he's presenting radical fucking theories with no proof whatsoever. It's a bright blue sky day, and I'm like, look, they're spraying us. That would be foolish. But then when I show you the big fucking trails in the sky, it's a wonder to me how you can just ignore it. And it's the same thing with just any of it. What part of the Tartaria stuff, like, doesn't... Who on here is willing to say they believe that the Pentagon, strangely enough, a building that nobody seems to have done any sort of deep dive into yet. I can't, I don't know why. Maybe it's because they think it's too late to fit the narrative. But it absolutely, like, if you don't question the Pentagon, I don't know how to do it with you. Just going, nah, like, that's all that comes to mind when I try to talk about it. And you do what you do. Like, it's weird. You can't possibly tell me that the acceptable narrative that starting on September 11th, 1941, and going until January 20th or something, I don't remember. 1943, so over 2 winters, basically. They built the second largest office building in the world. A fucking, and you know, a building unlike anything else, anywhere else. Like, that thing is so fucking crazy. It's 7 total stories, 5 above ground, 2 below ground. And they built it in around 14 months, or if you want to be picky, 15 months if you want to include planning and design. The location was selected 9 days before construction broke. They selected the location 9 days before construction. That's it took them a year to repair the damage from the 9/11 whatever hitting the Pentagon. It took a year to rebuild that one section. It took 14 months to build the whole thing in 1941. Over 2 winters in you know, a place where it gets pretty cold. It doesn't get crazy winter, but it could. And then every single other aspect of it is just stupid by, you know, a company that was founded specifically for this, that halfway through the head designer was removed because of sexual improprieties. They don't really go into what it was, but like, the whole thing is fucking silly, man. I'm really surprised nobody else has looked into the Pentagon yet. It's fucking nuts. You know, it's weird because it's like, you know, it's one of those things that, because it's not as ornately spectacular as other buildings and structures, we tend to overlook. But it's really one of the most fantastic, unbelievable buildings ever created. Whoever built that thing, you know, whatever that thing is for, I sure would love to go stand in the center of it, wouldn't you? Stand in the center and just Om. I'm sure there's some sort of energy going on in there. But like, there's just it took them 13 years to renovate it, from like 97 to 2010 or something like that. Just to renovate the already existing structure took 13 years. And yet they built it in 14 months. 15 months if you include planning. That's just fucking silly. The initial designs were took 5 days. 5 days. Come on, people. Like, are we really that dumb that we're gonna hate each other over, like, I don't even know. I don't really understand. The only reason I can ever imagine anybody would come here and oppose what I'm doing is if they are a pedo and or, you know, Israeli friar, you know, in that ilk. Otherwise, I can't imagine why anybody would ever be so angry with me that they would waste their time. So the rest of you, I would assume, you're on some sort of level here, and like, come on, like, doesn't this override whatever kind of stupidity you have going on? To think the system officially tells you that the Pentagon was built in 14 months? Like, why aren't we pissed about that? Why aren't we like, stop fucking lying to us? We deserve better. We deserve, the what we're capable of. There's something to it. And it's clearly all connected, literally and figuratively. All those buildings have those underground tunnels and shit that we're just supposed to believe that 1900s guys, they just knocked all that shit out. Big time tunnel builders and line layers, and I mean, it's just, we're clearly being lied to. And it's kind of weird because it means everything that you've ever been taught or accept to be a truth, a way things were or whatever, that's all in question. To me, it's all bullshit, actually. I mean, it's not even in question anymore. It's just bullshit. The narrative we're given, the characters we're given, all that shit, it's all, go. It's all bullshit. And that's the, that's something that's really hard for people to accept or something. But it's weird. Like, I don't even get why. Maybe the feeling of like, you don't want to feel foolish for having believed something stupid or allowing yourself to be tricked, or come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. We got to do this again? Come on. All right, dude, just the last time. OCD dog. There we go. Go. There are so many pictures that exist of like, it'll be like the Washington Memorial or something like that, or the Capitol building or whatever, construction photos, and it'll be nothing but scaffolding around a completed building. But on the outside of the building, around the building, you'll see like these wooden shelter, couple of planks all put together, and those are supposedly the houses that the people who build that magnificent structure, that's what they live in. It's just, it's like it's all really dumb. Don't you get it? Like, and why are you so adamant and so violent and so, ignorantly, like, defending history that doesn't matter at all? Oh, my great grandfather was this. You have no fucking idea. They didn't tell you the truth. I don't care how great a relationship you had with your grandma. She's not going to tell you about the time the guy at the truck stop bent her over and had his way and she loved it. She's not going to tell you all those stories about who she really was. Why do you think all those movies like Running Man and not Running Man, Total Recall, and Avatar and Matrix and all those movies. Why do you think they ring so true to us? People make religious movies and they're just panned and they're fucking stupid and we just can't stand them. Or you get movies like, what was it, Signs or whatever, that ends up being this great movie until the end when suddenly it's like God just decided that the aliens had killed enough of us and that was that. Like, that was the fucking terrible ending. But it's, from this idea of these giant fucking dinosaur lizards, rocks falling out of the sky. Go, man. Pole shifts and all these other crazy fucking things. They have you believing in death, doom, and gloom. And we're always on the brink of disaster one way or another. And, whatever you do, don't unify with your fellow compatriots because he might, be a different color or he might like fucking boys and you like girls and you guys can't be friends and just all kinds of crazy goofy shit that they put on us to distract us from the thing that really does matter, protecting kids. All of the effort that goes into oppressing gay people, oppressing trans people, just the craziness that's everywhere, oppressing women, oppressing, minorities, all those different hate groups that are disguised as being like, culturally sensitive or whatever. If all of that effort, all of that money, all of that support went into, no matter what you fucking are, where we are, what's going on, we're all here together. There are pedos in everything. And we just need to kill those pedos. Like, wouldn't that be so much better than anything else? Who's 23? Guys, we are so close to something great happening. It doesn't have to be like the negative end of the war bullshit or end of the world bullshit that they want you to think it is. It's something good, and we're right here. We're so close to overriding their bullshit, and you're seeing it everywhere. And you're seeing it so much that you're actually seeing the opposition, the people that are supposedly leading us, the opposition against the system, going, hey, wait a minute, now let's not oppose the entire thing. Because I have some friends of mine that are nice to me. I know some good friars who are nice to me, who have done nice things. And you're seeing this, we can't just go after this cult as a cult and say, hey, this shit is outrageous. We're not saying that you have to be like, that if you're a cult member, you get dealt with. No. We're saying, look, you don't have to be the cult member. If you're willing to say, I'm done with this crazy fucking cult, this oppressive supremacy cult, and I think we're all here together, then that's cool. Like, we're all, that's what the goal is. Eliminating any sort of supremacy that's been holding us back and holding us down. Go! No, go. we are we're witnessing just some really crazy shit. Like there's no real like, poetic way to put it or anything. Like it's just fucking insane what's happening. And the resistance that's happening and the way it's being used and you know it's manipulating, and it's all just really strange to see it. And you see this like struggle because of the controls. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody's starting to realize, like, you know, if your friend says, I am a NAMBLA member, I don't actually partake in the violating of kids, but I do belong to the organization. I give them lots of money. I go to all the events. I lobby for them in government, and we use our sway to make things happen. And you know, like I said, we have a lot of fundraisers where there are we have clowns and we have kids come out from all over, and yeah, maybe a couple of them get picked out, and they get violated or whatever, but thousands more come through and don't get violated and they have a good time. So, you know, like how many of you are going to be like, okay, that makes sense, buddy. You're a NIM member. You don't partake in it, but you support it in every way. No, it doesn't work that way. And you don't just get to be like, well, mine is ancient and it's God and it's, unprovable bullshit is at play here. And because of that, we just get to overlook the rules. And that doesn't work that way. And I really do think the Israel Hayom newspaper article, Bottom of Darkness, exposes something that is so much deeper than people are willing to see. I see this question being asked quite a bit now. What creates a people that is capable of doing that? Where people are saying, oh, you can't blame the average person, they're just victims too, and they're just civilians living their lives but that's not true at all. You have this entire population that is really bloodthirsty and mean and compassionless. And these people are saying just horrible, horrible things. And you say, how does this exist? How does a people like this exist that is capable of doing this to other people? And when you associate the Bottom of Darkness article with it and you say, yeah, those same people were violently and ritualistically abused as children, it absolutely makes sense. It just fills in the blanks. And you say, Jesus Christ, these are victims of a much bigger situation that I'm sure if they knew it, they wouldn't want to be a part of it. I refuse to believe that it's hard to say that. I was going to say I refuse to believe that they hate like it seems like they do, but they definitely seem to. It's just fucking, it's crazy. This shouldn't exist in this way. You know, I just can't imagine I mean, again, if you are one of those victims, or even you're a victim of like a psychological aspect of, you know, it exists, but that would mean turning in your father, turning in your grandfather, your uncle, your heritage that you've been taught to defend and fight tooth and nail, until the bitter end because everybody's against you. And it's just such a crazy, crazy dynamic that you can understand if you're willing to put down any blocks that might be there. The pre-programmed blocks that say, well, I'm a this, I'm a that person. I turn my eyes away because I believe in this identity they gave me. And it's sorry, I had a cord that was all spun up. But like, do you not see it? Do you see how that plan works and how disgusting it is? And then have to question, like, again, who is doing that? Who is the manipulating force behind the scenes? They're told they have to support this idea before anything else. Before their individuality, they're stripped of it. That's why they all look the same. They make them dress the same and put on the same uniforms, and it's they're just being manipulated. All but very few of them. Now again, to be in that position of power and not be not do something with it. Well, that, I don't know. I just can't. I know that my mom drank a lot when I was a kid. And the last thing I want my kids to see is their dad drunk. Because I know what I thought of a drunk when I was a kid. And seeing my parent drunk, that was really fucked up. Go lay down, man. Go. Go lay down. Good. And like, so it's weird for me to think that, having been abused, it somehow triggers it that you can abuse others. Like, I was spanked a lot when I was a kid with a wooden spoon. A lot. With a fucking wooden spoon. Go lay down. And I maybe spanked my kids like 3 times. And it was definitely not with a weapon. And I just felt like such a piece of shit. And I thought, like, there's that's not the way to do it. It doesn't work that way. That's stupid. I'm not doing this anymore. And thankfully, they were both young enough that neither one of them remember what it's like. But like, I was absolutely abused in that regard. And it didn't make me think, didn't make me do it. I didn't use that. Oh, I was raised this way, so this is, no, I evolved. I know that didn't do shit for me. But that doesn't, there's something else that happens when it's ritualistic sexual abuse of children that happens repeatedly for years and years and years. And then they're forced to do it. First they're the victims until they age out, and then once they age out, they're now forced to do it to gain transcendence and redemption, and like it's so fucking crazy. And it sounds like something I just made up, but it's definitely not. And at some point they're just going to delete the article. If enough people actually check it out, they'll just delete it. So hopefully it's saved somewhere. I don't know how to do that. But it's literally the most important article ever created. And the fact that they put it out says everything, because normally they could just hide and say, "Oh, that guy was just making that up. He's anti-supremacy, so he's making up lies about us." But this is Israel Hayom. This is Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson's baby. This is like as official as it gets. And to think that they put this shit out. It's just like the Team Jorge stuff, though. Why there hasn't been a much bigger response to the Team Jorge story being exposed. Like it's just ridiculous. That shit should have been NBC, ABC, every news outlet should have been doing an expose on Team Jorge, a follow-up, warning Americans that they are the Russia that we've been told to be scared of since 2016, when Russia interfered with the election. I mean, it's just, this fight isn't difficult. The only difficult part in this fight is the censorship. But the battle of information is the easiest part. All you have to do is look, and you'll see that every single thing said is backed up by copious amounts of facts and articles and entries and narratives and everything you're supposed to think and know. I'm not making anything up. This is all freedom of speech. This is all just common information. I'm not some hacker. I'm not good at the computer. Like, my main source is Wikipedia. Wikipedia that is heavily controlled by Israel, according to Naftali Bennett, who said it on the Israel National News in an interview with Israel National News. I don't know if it was broadcast on TV. I think it was. But it's definitely available on YouTube. And it's him saying that after many years of operating, Wikipedia needed to be taught how to edit. They were the number one source of information in the world, but they hadn't had a good, thorough lesson on how to edit things, edit the entries and whatnot. So Israel sent Naftali Bennett, future prime minister, in 2010, and a group of others to teach the Wikipedia editors how to edit things, so that if people like us look up things like the Gaza flotilla, the one back in 2010, this blockade bullshit, nothing's new. Then this quote is, they will be there. They will be the guys that influence what is being written, how it is written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature. Like that's That's so wild, man. That is just so wild to think that somebody would be so blatant and it just not be, not be an alarm ringer. He's not even saying that it's fair and it's not one-sided against friars, and he says it's balanced and Zionist of all things. That's a strong statement. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, that's a strong statement. And I ask you, like why do you suppose this is just allowed to exist and you're not supposed to, like, even the Charlie Kirk thing, right? It's like you're not supposed to ask questions. That isn't being a good American. Standing up and when you see something is wrong, you stand up, you say it, hey, I see something is wrong. Like, isn't that what it means to be a good American? Look at that. Did seriously get some help. Gotta love it. Mental issues. Not you're wrong about this or you're wrong about that, or what. It's mental issues, because mental issues are the only option, right? You're crazy. You need help. Why do you know things? Why are you quoting Wikipedia? Why are you talking about the official narratives? You're supposed to be a dumb goyim who talks about, Roblox and shit. Right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be talking about Trumpstein. Why aren't you talking about Trumpstein? Why aren't you talking about the earth shape? Talk about the earth shape. If you're going to be a conspiracy theorist, talk about the earth shape. That's one we like to talk about. Not really, though. But strange how it works that way, doesn't it? All you have to do is pick one thing that I'm wrong about. Focus on it. Tell me what I'm getting wrong, what I'm misconstruing. Tell me how you're smarter than I am. And we'll go from there. It doesn't seem like that should be such a difficult task. That's what I do. I keep finding things and then pointing them out to you guys, saying, "Hey, look at this, look at this." The Haavara Agreement is American history. There's no conspiracy theory about it. Like, there's nothing that you can hide behind and say, "Oh, you're not being nice because you're making up this or you're making up that." That shit was the narrative that we're supposed to have. And strangely enough, none of us have ever heard of it. And it's all about the colonization of Palestine long before there was any sort of, I don't even know what, I know there was the Palestine partition agreement that failed. But, like, I don't understand where that connection comes from. World War II happened. The thing supposedly happened. And then because of the thing, the Palestinians now lose out. Like I don't know what that actual connection is. I don't really know. I'd have to, I guess, look into that a little bit more. You know what I was thinking about? Whatever happened to Iowa Cop Watch? They got outed as being a pedo and they sure disappeared quick, didn't they? That was really fucking weird. I thought about that earlier. I don't know why, but this is just nuts. This is nuts. I can't, you know, there's a genocide taking place right now. And it's the situation that we're all in is really bad. Like it seems like everything is on the verge of just falling apart and our leadership is driving us in that direction more than anything else. And it's not like it's a surprise. It's exactly what people said was going to happen. It's what the leadership's history said was going to happen. It's really disturbing. And it's like you're sitting here, you're on this roller coaster and it's climbing up higher and higher. And you're like, hey, this seatbelt latch isn't fucking latching. Why isn't this seatbelt latching? And you're just screaming like, hey, my seatbelt's not latched. What's going on here? And it just keeps climbing and you can't get out. You can't do anything about it. You just like, what the fuck am I going to do? This is going to be a horrible, hopefully I survive this ride. It's a really fucked up, gloomy, you know, scary situation. Is the 30s narrative going to repeat itself? You know, or is the 28, 29 collapse and depression that's not just the 19s, but the 18s and the 17s, according to the narrative that we're given? There were similar events that happened worldwide. Is this going to happen again? We know they like their 100-year cycles. We've already been experiencing them. The 2009 partial depression, housing collapse bullshit. That happened in the 1909s. There's big bullshit then too. They did the 100-year Spanish flu, COVID, like it was 100 years. It's fucking crazy. It'd be different not having kids. But thinking about, kids and other people's kids and just other people, like it's not even just about the kids, man. It's about all of us. Who wants to, things to get worse in this fucking weird game we're in? It's brutal already. And if you're compromised as is, it's even harder. I don't know, man. We need to figure something out, because does anybody see it like, you look 5 years ahead in your mind, you think, okay, things are just going to start blossoming and we're going to be moving forward and free energy and healthcare will be good. And like, does anybody see that on the horizon? I don't see that anywhere. I don't see anybody expressing any sort of realistic belief that things are getting better. And other than the blind Trump supporters who, to me, if you're a Trump supporter, you're a pedo. You've got some pedo stuff in your history that you're just, you know, you're willing to overlook for yourself. So if you can do it for yourself, you're going to do it for the president. But, you know, the president of the United States literally was convicted of assault, sexual assault. And the judge stated that he believed it was rape, but they just couldn't prove penetration took place, because how do you prove that after all this time? But that, if you can think that guy's okay, that's a really unbelievable ask. Like, I don't care who you are. If that's the narrative that you bring to the table, like, I'm good. I don't need to be associated with you. I know that you have that in you, that you're capable of that, along with just multiple, just the total number of cases against this man, either gone one way or another, been settled. And I mean, the list is ridiculous. I can't even begin to spit it out. But it sounds like Lex Luthor, you know. Except it's all like sex crimes and shit. It's so fucking weird. And you can't say, oh, it's just because he's a famous guy, this, that, and the other. There are plenty of famous people who do not have big, long-ass rap sheets and payoffs and all that other shit. There are plenty that do. And those are pieces of shit. We seem to be calling those people out lately. But to think like anything else is just like, what? It just doesn't make any sense. Well, I hate that phrase. I hate that I even say it, because it does make sense. When you look at this broken narrative that believes in Sky Daddy and, you know, refuses to educate themselves on the origins of those beliefs, they just believe them. Like it's just, it's such a weird thing. Worshipping idols and kind of goofy ass shit. Anyway, you have yourself a wonderful day. Go check out the links in the description. And you pedophiles, you kill yourself.